Hello everyone, today I am going to be pruning and propagating native shrubs. Welcome to my YouTube channel, 90% Native. My name is Michelle and I grow native plants and I garden for the wildlife. So like I said, today I am going to be pruning and propagating native shrubs, and the ones that I am mostly interested in today are going to be my elderberries, my blueberries. I am going to cut back my smooth hydrangea down to the ground, and maybe some of the viburnums. Now, when I'm doing this pruning, I am going to be taking hardwood cuttings so then I can propagate these native shrubs. By far, the elderberry is the absolute easiest shrub to propagate. All you need to do is take a living stem cutting and slam it into moist ground in the winter, and that sucker should root for you. So I'm going to take a lot of those for the purpose of continuing to build a wildlife hedgerow, but the ultimate goal, and something that I'll start talking about more and more, but it'll be slowly over time, is laying that hedge. It's something that they do in the UK a lot. They're very into their hedgerows. So what laying a hedge is, essentially, from my very limited knowledge, is just growing thicket and hedgerow like plants, and then after about 3 years of growth you lay those branches down. Okay, so what you're going to do is you come in to the trunk of that shrub, you put a cut into it enough so that you can lay that branch down vertically, and then you use stakes or something like that to kind of guide the fence. The effect that you get when you lay your hedges down, not only are you getting a living fence that grows vertically, but you're also getting the horizontal growth too, that's going to leaf out and provide additional privacy and greenery. So first up, I am going to go over here and start pruning my elderberries. Just so you know, the three tools that I have out here with me are my secateurs, I have a little saw, and then I have my loppers. All three of these, I've poured some rubbing alcohol, or isopropyl, if that's how you pronounce it, alcohol over them just to make sure that they're nice and clean. Okay guys, I am going to start with this elderberry. What I'm going to focus on first is cutting off anything that is dead, then anything that is crossing, and then I'm going to harvest the very good stems that I can use to propagate. So I just want to throw in here, I am by no means an expert at this. These are things that I've been fooling around with over the past couple years. I have been successful at getting elderberries to take root. They are so easy. Some of the other ones I'm definitely newer at, or trying the first time. So with that, take what I say as a grain of salt, or something to try and experiment with on your own as well. All the other cuttings that I just took were all dead stems, so I'm throwing them here in like my dead stem pile. But this one, I don't know if you can see or not, but there's a circle of green in there. So this particular stem is alive, and I'm just gonna give it a cut in half to make it a little bit more manageable. Hey babe, getting ready? I'm videoing you, come on, let's go. Hey babe, okay, this is what we're doing.
What?
We're regeneratively pruning Sambucus canadensis elderberry, the native elderberry. We're gonna prune them down to the ground. Okay, so guys, yesterday I did these, but my tools could only get me so far, so I've called in
expert
Scott to bring these all the way down to the ground. Okay, so this one right here, if you could take it all the way back here and here, Okay.
All right.
And then I have some viburnum that I couldn't get all the way to the bottom of over there that I want you to do. Okay, so let's just start with this one. This is our battery operated chainsaw that I got Scott for Christmas one year, and he doesn't really like it. The 3 elderberries have been regeneratively pruned. Here in this pile are all of my elderberry cuttings that I haven't cut down to the exact size I want. Again, these have been sitting here for, oh goodness, like a little over a week now, and you can still see they have life in them and greenery. So I have to get these guys cut down to the size I want them. Here are the cuttings that I want to pot up. So we have gray dogwood, super easy to propagate. I have some blueberry cuttings. These I don't have high hopes of getting propagated. I heard they're supposed to be really difficult to do. So this will be an experiment for sure. Viburnum dentatum. I've been able to get to propagate viburnums in the past doing this method. I don't know if these ones are going to go because maybe I've kept them in this little bucket too long. I'm not 100%, but we'll give it a try. Here are my smooth hydrangea cuttings. Again, these ones are supposed to be more difficult to get to take root, similar to the blueberries. These, the blueberry and the smooth hydrangeas will be the first year that I try and propagate them in this way. I have some 9 bark here. And then finally, I have the super easy to propagate from Hardwood cuttings, elderberries. And you can see all those green sprouts still holding strong. In order to pot these up, I like to use things that are deep, like solo cups, and so that they can stay in the little cup for an extended period of time. I also have these bigger, maybe these are 6-inch pots as well that are pretty deep, that I also use. So what I've done here is I've just filled this up with my homemade potting mix, and all I do is just push that cutting down into this cup. And push that in there nicely. And I can do the same with this one if I wanted to share it, because eventually it's going to go to a bigger space anyway. And there you go. This can potentially be 2 new elderberry trees, and you saw the number of stem cuttings that I have. So I mean, I could basically have a farm of elderberry if I wanted to. That's how easy it is to propagate these guys. Before we move on to the next way that I am planting these cuttings, I did want to mention that in the past I have torn those little little sprouts at the very bottom of the cutting off. I've also clipped into the middle of a cutting to see if it would root better. I didn't record any of the results. I've always just had really good germination with elderberries. So with this method, I am not potting up the individual cuttings to give away to family and friends. I want a lot of cuttings to use in my native hedgerow. And so I'm just using really large pots that other plants had come in and sticking a lot of cuttings in there so I can just get a bunch of these guys rooted. And so this is about 2/3 native soil with about 1/3 of my homemade compost. I want to make sure that they're watered thoroughly, and then I'm using my ground leaves as a mulch. I'm back here with one of my really long elderberry cuttings. Typically you would want to take cuttings smallest probably 4 inches up to even 30 inches, and I try to get as many of the leaf nodes buried as possible. And so this is so easy. I'm just going to quickly show you how I would put this one right into the ground. Now this year I am going to get my property line marked so I can do more of a hedgerow on the back and the sides. So I'm not going to stick any of mine directly into the ground until I can get that done. So I'm just going to heal them up in soil and let them grow some roots and sprout. And then later in the season, after I have gotten my property lines marked, then I'll start getting my elderberry cuttings out along that property line. Okay guys, so if you have a really nice, moist, soft area, you can just gently push your cuttings into the ground like this and push them down as far as you can get it. I like to get a couple of the leaf nodes underneath the ground if I can. So I think I got probably a good foot underneath the ground there, and it's still going. Okay, I don't want to push it any further than what I already have it, because I think I got a good 12 inches underground for this particular cutting. Now, if you have a smaller or gentler cutting that you want to put into the ground, or maybe your ground is a little too hard, I just use a shovel just to put a slit in the ground and stick this in it. So let me show you. And then just push it together. So now you have 2 elderberry cuttings that I just pushed straight into the ground, and those should do just fine. Now I'll probably move these because this isn't where I want them, but I will keep you updated on the success of any cuttings that I am working on. Now, one thing to keep in mind when you're doing these kind of cuttings, if you're doing a regenerative prune, so that means you're taking the entire bush all the way back down, if that bush blooms on old wood, you will not get blooms this upcoming season. You will have to wait a year. So that's something important that you need to know when you're doing this. But really, 4-inch to 12-inch to 30-inch cuttings, put them in soil, put them in the ground, experiment and see what happens. Now, if you missed my last 2 videos, I will put them up here on the screen. And if this is content that appeals to you, again, I would love it if you would subscribe, click the bell, click the like, and share with your friends. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. Happy gardening, and I will catch you again next time.